Finally getting the bikes out. Excuse the red tape, but today is a gorgeous day out today. Since today was a school day and I would only have about like 3 or 4 hours to ride before it would get cold, and there's still a lot of salt in the road and it's about to rain tonight, I figured I'd just wait a day and then go riding like the rest of this week. So I'm not going to be riding today. However, this is a lovely time to check up on my pre-ride checklist. Obviously, riding motorcycles is a really dangerous hobby, but there are some things that you can do to help mitigate that. Number one thing you never want to have happen is a mechanical failure when you're on a motorcycle. So things like brakes failing, or a wheel coming off because you didn't torque down a nut, or when your chain fails and then goes flying back and hits someone behind you. It's not good. Now, both of these bikes are brand new, and so you would think there's not really a lot to do to these bikes to make sure that they're safe to ride. However, now name brand motorcycles such as Kawasaki, Triumph, or Ducati, these type of bikes usually don't have failures from the factory, but they can still happen. From the factory, most manufacturers put little paint lines here so you can see and make sure that these line up, so that way you know that none of these bolts moved. You very obviously don't want to have any of these brakes coming off mid-ride. It's going to kill your stopping power and most likely hurt you. Next one you want to check is your chain. You want to make sure that there's no rust spots on this. This chain will move as fast as this rear tire will move, so you want to make sure that there's no cracks, no rubber pieces coming off, and there's no rust spots on it. If you see any of that stuff, it may be time to replace your chain, which usually only costs around $150 and you can do it yourself. Trust me, that $150 is way better spent than having it come off mid-ride. That tow truck is going to cost you a lot more. Since I already know my chain tension is good, it's also a really nice time to admire the titanium there. Ooh. You also want to check your tires. I mean, I know that these tires don't have any holes in them or anything. They're holding their air. You also, before you want to go for a ride, you also want to fill up your tire pressure. But I'm not going to do that today since I'm not riding today. I'm going to ride in a few days, so I'll just do it then. You want to make sure that there's nothing stuck in your wheels. You want to check, like, these bearings here. Nothing is stuck in there. No rocks or anything sticking to it. This is all stuff that can ruin your ride and kind of give you a bad day. On days like these where there's still a bunch of salt in the road, it's also a good time to wash the bikes. Now, luckily I already did this off camera before I realized I could film a little bit of this, but as you can see, these bikes are looking beautiful. This one, however, still needs a little bit of love. I just used waterless wash today. I mean, look, you can see the salt even on the driveway. Ugh. I just used waterless wash today because I figured I didn't want to get these bikes wet on a day that I'm not riding them. But usually when you wash a motorcycle, you want to wash them with soap and water like you would a car. As you can see, there's still a bunch of work to do even on off days like this. One last thing that I like to do that I don't see a lot of other motorcycle creators do, which I think they actually overlook, is cleaning your fork stanchions. This is a fork tube, this is a fork stanchion. And what a lot of people will do is when they come home for a ride, they will just leave this completely dirty and clean all of the plastics that people actually look at. However, actually ignoring something that can help your bike last a lot longer. Fork seals are really expensive to fix and are kind of a pain to work on. When you come home and that stuff's all covered in dirt, especially on a bike like that, it helps to take a nice clean microfiber and some spray wax, wipe those down softly, not with a lot of force so you don't scratch them, and to clean them up and make them look pretty. What that does is actually clear off any abrasives that can wear out your fork seals faster than what they already get worn out. Little pieces of effort like that can end up saving you a lot of money in the long run. It's also a good time, check your fluids, make sure everything's good, check your oil levels, coolant levels, and once you're all done, I mean, you're set really to ride for the week. And like with most of my videos, I know there's gonna be some old head that comes in here and be like, who cares about all this stuff? Why don't you just go ride? This is just simple practices for safety, because at the end of the day, this is a really dangerous hobby, and we're trying to reduce as many fatalities as we can each year, so we can try to keep this hobby alive. And while yes, some of this stuff may seem tedious, it can end up saving your life in the long run. Plus, who would want to wreck these bikes, man? They're too good. These bikes are pretty much done. I'm gonna roll them back in their spots, and we will be riding soon.